The road that went silent. The highway out of town stretched like a ribbon of black glass under the pale glow of the winter moon. Tyler drummed his fingers on the steering wheel, the soft thump of bass from the radio filling the car. "Tell me again why we didn't just fly?" Jenna asked from the passenger seat, hugging her jacket closer. 4 hours in the cold so you can experience the open road? Tyler smirked. "Because road trips build character." From the back seat, Marcus snorted. "Character? Dude, the only thing this trip is building is frostbite." Lila leaned against Marcus's shoulder, half asleep. "I like it," she murmured. "Feels like we're escaping real life." That was the point. 2 couples, 1 spontaneous trip, a rented cabin somewhere in the mountains of upstate New York. No work emails, no city noise, just snow, trees, and each other. At least, that's what they thought. The radio crackled. A burst of static swallowed the music, replaced by a low hum that made the speakers vibrate. Tyler frowned and tapped the console. Cheap rental car. The headlights flickered. Jenna sat up straighter. "Tyler? I see it." The engine coughed. Once, twice, then died. The car rolled forward in silence before Tyler guided it onto the shoulder. Snow crunched beneath the tires as they came to a stop. For a moment, no one spoke, only the wind. It howled across the empty road, carrying a sound that almost resembled a whisper. Marcus leaned forward. "Please tell me this is a joke." Tyler turned the key. Nothing. Again, nothing. "Batteries dead?" Jenna asked. "No warning lights," Tyler muttered. "It just stopped." Lila peered out the window. "Where are we?" They all looked. The highway behind them vanished into darkness. Ahead, the road curved into a forest so dense it swallowed the moonlight. No houses, no streetlights, no passing cars. No signal. Marcus checked his phone. 0 bars. "Same," Jenna said. Tyler exhaled slowly. "Okay, we stay calm. There's probably a town nearby." The wind slammed against the car, rocking it slightly. Lila shivered. "I don't like this place." Another gust of wind, stronger this time, carried a distant creak. Not from the car, from somewhere in the woods. Jenna's voice dropped to a whisper. "Did you hear that?" Tyler opened his door. The cold hit like a wall, sharp enough to steal his breath. "Stay here," he said. Marcus grabbed his arm. "No way, we're not splitting up." Within minutes, all 4 stood on the roadside, their breath fogging the air. The forest loomed. Tall, skeletal trees clawed at the sky, their branches twisting like frozen hands. Snow blanketed the ground in an unbroken sheet of white. Except for one thing. Footprints. Lila pointed. Those weren't here before. They led off the road, disappearing between the trees. Marcus swallowed. "Someone's out here." "Or was," Jenna said. The creak came again. This time they saw it. A shape beyond the trees. A house. Half hidden by the forest, it leaned like it was trying to collapse into itself. Windows boarded, roof sagging, a rusted gate hanging open as if inviting them in. "Nope," Marcus said immediately. "Absolutely not." Tyler hesitated. "We need help. Maybe someone lives there." Jenna stared at the dark windows. "No one lives there." The wind surged, carrying a faint metallic clang from the direction of the house. Lila squeezed Marcus's hand. "We can't stay on the road all night." Silence fell. The cold was already biting through their coats. Tyler looked at Jenna. She looked back, fear flickering in her eyes, but also trust. "Together," she said. He nodded. Together, they stepped off the road and into the trees. The closer they got, the more wrong the house felt. Not abandoned, waiting. The front door stood slightly ajar, swaying with each gust of wind. "Creak," Marcus whispered. "We knock, we don't just walk in." Tyler raised his hand and rapped on the wood. The sound echoed inside like a gunshot. No answer. He pushed the door. It opened with a long, splintering groan. The smell hit them first. Damp wood, mold, and something older, something rotten beneath the floorboards. Jenna covered her nose. "We shouldn't be here." But they stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind them. All 4 spun around. Tyler grabbed the handle and yanked. It wouldn't move. Marcus forced a laugh. "Okay, funny. Who's pushing from the outside?" No one answered. The wind outside had stopped. The house was silent. Then, from somewhere deep in the darkness above them, a floorboard creaked. Slow, deliberate, like something had just taken a step. Lila's voice trembled. "We're not alone." And the house, at last, had them.
The house breathes. The creak above them did not stop. It stretched into a slow drag, like something heavy being pulled across warped floorboards. Tyler held up his hand, signaling for silence. His heartbeat pounded so loudly in his ears he was certain whatever was upstairs could hear it. Another sound followed, a soft thud. Then, a second step. Jenna's fingers slipped into his, cold and tight. "Tell me that's the house settling." Marcus shook his head. "Houses don't walk." Lila's voice was barely audible. "We need to leave. Now." Tyler turned back to the front door and pulled again. The handle refused to budge. He braced his foot against the frame and yanked harder. Nothing. "It's stuck," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Old wood swells in the cold." Marcus grabbed the handle and pulled with him. The door didn't even rattle. "It's not stuck," Marcus whispered. "It's locked." A low draft slid across the floor, curling around their ankles like icy fingers. The smell inside the house deepened, damp earth and something sour, like long-forgotten decay. Behind them, the darkness of the hallway stretched inward. Waiting. A faint tapping sound echoed from somewhere inside the walls. Tap, tap, tap. Jenna flinched. "Pipes? No water out here," Marcus said. The tapping stopped. For a moment, the house fell into a silence so complete it felt unnatural, as if even the outside world had been shut away. Then came the whisper. Not a word, just breath, long and slow, drifting through the corridor ahead. Lila pressed her hands over her ears. "Do you hear that? Please tell me you hear that." Tyler did. It sounded like someone exhaling right behind him. He spun around. No one. Only the warped wallpaper, peeling like old skin. Marcus forced a laugh that cracked halfway through. "Okay, old house, weird acoustics, wind in the walls. We're letting our imaginations run wild." "Then why did the wind stop?" Jenna asked. No one answered, because she was right. The world outside had gone completely still. They moved deeper into the house because standing still felt worse. The entry hall opened into a parlor coated in dust, thick enough to record their footprints. A chandelier hung overhead, its crystals dull and gray, swaying slightly despite the lack of breeze. Tyler's phone flashlight cut through the dark. "Let's find another exit. Back door, windows, something." The beam passed over a row of picture frames on the wall. Every photo had been scratched out, faces obliterated. Lila swallowed. Why would someone do that? Marcus leaned closer to one frame. "These are old, like really old." Tyler angled the light. The photos showed the same house, decades younger. A family stood on the porch in stiff black clothing. Their expressions were impossible to read. The scratches had carved their faces into pale blurs. Except for one. In the back of the photo, just inside the doorway, a figure stood in shadow, unscarred, watching. Jenna stepped back. "That wasn't in the doorway when we walked in." Tyler lowered the phone. The hallway behind them was empty, but the air felt thicker now, heavier, like the house was holding its breath. A door at the end of the parlor creaked open on its own. All four of them froze. Marcus whispered, "Tell me someone touched that." No one had. The door opened wider, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. A basement. The smell rising from it was stronger. Wet soil, rot, and something metallic, like rust, or blood. Lila shook her head violently. "We are not going down there." A loud bang exploded from upstairs. They screamed, instinctively huddling together. Footsteps followed, slow, dragging, crossing from one end of the second floor to the other, back and forth, as if something was pacing. Jenna buried her face against Tyler's chest. "It knows we're here." The footsteps stopped directly above them. Dust sifted from the ceiling. A single particle landed on Tyler's cheek, cold as snow. Then came 3 heavy knocks from the floor above. Boom, boom, boom. Marcus whispered, "That's not random." The chandelier began to sway harder. The house groaned, a deep wooden moan like something awakening after a long sleep. Tyler forced himself to speak. "We're leaving. Window, now." They rushed to the nearest window. Marcus wiped away grime with his sleeve. Boards. Nailed from the outside. "Who boards windows from the outside?" he said, panic rising. Jenna tried another. Same. Lila's breath came in sharp gasps. "We're trapped." The whisper returned, closer this time, right beside Marcus's ear. He jerked away, slamming into the wall. "It breathed on me." Tyler swung the flashlight wildly. The beam caught movement at the end of the hall. A figure. Tall. Unnaturally thin. It stood perfectly still, head tilted at an impossible angle. The flashlight flickered. For a split second, the figure seemed closer. Then, the flashlight died. Darkness swallowed the room. Jenna screamed. Something moved in the dark, fast, scraping along the walls. Marcus shouted, "Get back to the door." Tyler grabbed Jenna's hand, the others clutching onto each other as they stumbled towards where they thought the entryway was. Behind them, footsteps erupted, not slow now, but rushing, the sound of bare feet slapping wood. Breathing. So many breaths, not one, many. Lila sobbed. "They're everywhere." Tyler slammed into the front door. "Here." He yanked the handle. It still wouldn't move. The rushing footsteps stopped, inches behind them. Silence. Hot breath washed over Jenna's back neck. She whimpered. A voice, dry as dead leaves, whispered into the darkness. "You came inside." The chandelier crashed to the floor, glass shattered, and somewhere in the house, a child began to laugh. They did not know it yet, but the house had not trapped them. It had chosen them, and it was only beginning to wake.
The names in the walls. The child's laughter didn't echo. It multiplied. High-pitched giggles bounced through the corridors, from the ceiling, from the floor, from inside the walls, surrounding them until it was impossible to tell where it began or ended. Then it stopped, not fading, stopping, as if someone had cut the sound with a knife. Tyler didn't realize he was holding his breath until his lungs burned. He swallowed the cold air and tightened his grip on Jenna's hand. "Everybody here?" he whispered. Marcus's voice came from the dark, close but unsteady. "Yeah." Lila clung to him. "Don't let go of me." "I won't," he said, though his voice trembled. Tyler fumbled with his phone, slapping it against his palm. The screen flickered, once, twice, and then the flashlight sputtered back to life. The beam revealed the shattered chandelier at their feet. Glass glittered like frozen tears across the dusty floor, and written in the dust, where the chandelier had fallen, were letters. Not carved, traced, as if by a finger dragged slowly through the grime. "Stay." Jenna shook her head. No, we're not staying." Marcus swallowed hard. That wasn't there before. Behind them, something inside the wall shifted. A dull scrape, then a faint rhythmic sound. Tap, tap, tap. Lila stared at the wallpaper. It bulged inward slightly with each tap, as though something on the other side was pressing against it. Her voice broke. "There's something in the walls." The bulge moved, slowly, traveling along the wall toward the hallway. The wallpaper stretched, then snapped back into place with a soft pop. The tapping stopped. A whisper replaced it, too faint to understand, yet unmistakably human. Tyler turned the flashlight toward the corridor. The tall figure was gone, but the hallway seemed longer now. Impossible, yet the far end receded into deeper darkness than before. Marcus rubbed his eyes. "Tell me that hall wasn't shorter." "It was," Jenna whispered. The house creaked, not the random settling of old wood, but a long, deliberate groan, like a spine bending. The floor shifted under their feet. Lila gasped. It moved. Tyler forced himself to stay calm. Old foundations shift. But he knew. The house had breathed. They retreated into the parlor, moving slowly, afraid that sudden motion might provoke whatever shared the house with them. The scratched-out photographs lined the walls like blind witnesses. Tyler stopped at one they hadn't examined closely before. He wiped away dust. A date was etched into the frame, January 14th, 1932. Below it, faint lettering, the Whittemore family. Marcus leaned closer. Whittemore, why does that sound familiar? Lila pointed to the background of the photo, the same shadowed doorway, the same tall figure, unchanged. "Whoever that is," she whispered, "they've been here a long time." Jenna's eyes scanned the room. "Where are the bodies?" she said, voice tightening. "If a whole family lived here, where did they go?" The temperature dropped. Their breaths fogged the air again. From upstairs came a slow, dragging sound, then a thud, then silence. Tyler looked toward the staircase. "We need answers. If we understand what this place is—" "No," Lila said sharply. "People in horror movies do that. They go looking for answers and they die." Marcus squeezed her hand. "We're not splitting up. If we move together." Jenna looked at Tyler. Fear shimmered in her eyes, but so did resolve. "We can't stay in one room waiting for something to find us." He nodded. Together, they turned toward the hallway. Halfway down the corridor, the smell intensified. Wet earth and iron. A door stood ajar on the right. It hadn't been before. Tyler pushed it open. Inside was a dining room frozen in time. A long table stretched across the center, set for dinner. 4 plates, 4 cups, 4 chairs pulled out. Dust coated everything, except for the plates. They were clean. Marcus whispered, "That's not possible." Jenna approached slowly. "It's like they were waiting for us." Lila shook her head. No, we're not playing house with ghosts." A 5th chair sat at the head of the table. Unlike the others, it was pushed in, waiting. Tyler's flashlight game trembled as he swept it across the walls. More photographs, more scratched-out faces. Except one. A small portrait hung crooked near the doorway. A child, perhaps 8, years with hollow eyes and a faint, unsettling smile. The glass over the photo was intact, no scratches. Below it, a nameplate, Eleanor Whittemore. The child's eyes seemed to follow them. Marcus leaned closer. "Why is hers untouched?" The whisper returned. This time it was a word, soft, breathy, right beside Jenna's ear. "Hungry." She screamed and stumbled back into Tyler. The dining chairs scraped across the floor, all 4 of them, inching closer to the table, as if guided by invisible hands. Lila sobbed. "It wants us to sit." The 5th chair slid backward on its own. An invitation or a command. The temperature plunged. Frost began creeping across the edges of the plates. Marcus grabbed Lila. "We're not playing house with ghosts. Move." They bolted from the dining room, the chairs slamming violently against the table behind them. The door slammed shut on its own. From inside, something began pounding. Boom, boom, boom. A child's laughter rose again, warped and wet, as if bubbling through water. They ran until they reached the base of the staircase. The steps stretched upward into darkness. Halfway up, Tyler's light caught something carved into the banister. Names. Dozens of them, layered over each other. Some deep and jagged, some faint and desperate. Marcus traced one with his finger. Help me. Below it, another. Don't sleep. Lila's voice shook. These are people, Jenna whispered. People who never left. Above them, a door creaked open. A faint yellow light spilled onto the top step, and a child's voice drifted down, gentle and clear. Dinner's ready. The house groaned again, now louder, almost eager. Tyler looked at the others. Fear bound them together, but so did something stronger. They were not leaving anyone behind. Not tonight. He tightened his grip on Jenna's hand. We end this, he said. And for the first time since they entered the house, the whispering stopped, as if the house itself was listening.
Eleanor at the top of the stairs. The staircase groaned beneath their weight, each step releasing a long, splintering complaint that echoed through the house like a warning. Tyler led the way, his phone light trembling in his hand. Jenna stayed close behind him, her fingers gripping his jacket. Marcus and Lila followed, moving as one, afraid that even an inch of separation might be enough for the darkness to slip between them. Halfway up, the air changed. It grew warmer. Not comfortingly warm, but stale, thick, and damp, like breath trapped in a sealed room for decades. The faint yellow light above flickered. Dinner is ready, the child's voice repeated. Closer now, clearer, not a whisper, a welcome. Lila's nails dug into Marcus's arm. Please tell me we're not actually going to meet her. Marcus swallowed. We can't go back down. He didn't say why. They all knew. The house did not let people go backward. At the top of the stairs, the hallway stretched left and right, its wallpaper hanging in long, curling strips. The light came from a single open doorway at the far end. A soft glow spilled across the floorboards, illuminating small footprints in the dust. Bare feet, child-sized, leading from the doorway toward them. Jenna's voice cracked. She came to meet us. The footprints stopped inches from Tyler's boots. The dust there was disturbed, as if someone stood directly in front of him, watching, waiting. The light flickered again. Then the temperature dropped sharply, frosting the edges of the banister behind them. Marcus whispered, We should go. Tyler forced his legs to move. They followed the footprints toward the open door. The room beyond had once been a bedroom. Faded floral wallpaper clung to the walls. A rusted iron bed frame sat in the corner. Its mattress collapsed inward like a mouth missing teeth. Toys lay scattered across the floor, a porcelain doll missing one eye, wooden blocks stacked into a crooked tower, a music box with its lid half open. The yellow light came from an oil lamp on a small table. Its flame burned without flickering, without smoke, without heat. And beside the table stood a little girl. She wore a white dress that hung limp against her thin frame. Her bare feet were gray with dust. Long, dark hair veiled part of her face, but one eye remained visible, pale and reflective, catching the lamplight like glass. Eleanor Whitmore. She tilted her head slowly. You're late, she said. Her voice was calm, too calm. Jenna stepped closer to Tyler. We didn't know we were invited. Eleanor's lips curved into a small smile. Everyone is invited. Behind them, the hallway darkened. The faint light from the staircase vanished, swallowed by shadow. Marcus turned. The stairs. Gone. Not physically, just no longer there. Where the stairwell should have been was only a wall of peeling wallpaper. Lila let out a broken sob. It's changing. Eleanor watched them with quiet curiosity. The house doesn't like when guests try to leave before dinner. Tyler found his voice. We're not staying. Her smile did not falter. They all say that. A faint scraping sound came from under the bed. Something shifted beneath the mattress. Jenna's breath hitched. What's under there? Eleanor's gaze drifted to the bed. They're hungry too. The mattress bulged upward slightly, as if something pressed from below. A low, wet sound followed. Not quite a growl, not quite a sob. Marcus grabbed Lila's hand. We're done talking. We go, now. He moved toward the doorway. The moment his foot crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut. The lamp flame flared violently, casting long, writhing shadows across the walls. Eleanor's voice dropped to a whisper. You haven't eaten. The toys on the floor began to move. The wooden blocks toppled one by one, spelling out crooked letters across the dust. S-I-T. Jenna shook her head. No. The porcelain doll's head turned with a dry crack, its single eye fixing on Tyler. From inside the walls came a rising murmur, dozens of voices overlapping in a desperate chorus. Hungry. Stay. Join. Marcus pounded on the door. Open! Open! The wood beneath his fists softened, warped, as if breathing. Tyler turned back to Eleanor. Why are you doing this? For the first time, her smile faltered. Her eyes shifted toward the floor. They didn't leave me, she said quietly. They tried. The house was angry.
The bulge beneath the bed grew larger. A gray hand pushed through the torn mattress fabric, thin, elongated fingers clawing at the air. Lila screamed. Eleanor's gaze snapped back to them. If you leave before dinner, the house keeps you. The hand retreated beneath the mattress. The bulge subsided. Silence fell. Jenna stepped forward, her voice trembling but gentle. Eleanor, what happened to your family? The lamp flickered. For a moment, the girl looked very small. They were hungry, she said, and the house fed them. The whispering in the walls intensified. Tyler realized something then, something far worse than ghosts. This house did not kill. It consumed, and it was starving. Eleanor looked at them, her head tilting again. You can still stay, she said. If you stay, it won't hurt. Marcus backed away. We're not staying. We're leaving together. The girl's expression didn't change, but the lamp went out. Darkness swallowed the room. From beneath the bed came the sound of many hands pressing upward. From inside the walls came scratching, frantic, desperate. And in the darkness, the house exhaled, a long, satisfied breath. It had begun to feed.
The first offering. Darkness didn't just fill the room. It pressed in. Thick. Suffocating. Tyler couldn't see his own hands. The air smelled of damp soil and something coppery, like old pennies pressed against the tongue. Jenna? He whispered. I'm here, she said, her voice trembling close to his chest. Marcus called out, Lila? I'm here, she sobbed, somewhere to the right. Relief lasted only a second. Then the scratching began. From beneath the bed, from inside the walls, from the ceiling above. Dozens of frantic clawing sounds, as if something trapped just beyond the surfaces was trying to break through. Tyler fumbled with his phone. The screen flickered once, then died. No light, he muttered. A child's voice drifted through the darkness. You should have stayed for dinner. Eleanor. But she no longer sounded calm. Her voice echoed strangely, layered with other tones. Older voices, deeper voices, whispering beneath her words. Marcus slammed his shoulder into the door. Open! Come on! The wood felt wrong under his hands, soft and pulsing, like muscle beneath skin. He recoiled. It's moving. The scratching beneath the bed grew louder. The mattress tore with a wet ripping sound. Something slid onto the floor. A hand brushed Tyler's ankle. Ice cold. He jerked back, dragging Jenna with him. Something's out! A shape crawled in the dark, too fast, joints bending the wrong way, breath rattling like wind through a broken pipe. Lila screamed as fingers grazed her calf. Marcus grabbed her, pulling her upward onto the bed frame. Get off the floor! The crawling thing slammed into the metal frame, making it shriek. For a split second, lightning flashed outside the boarded window, a single burst of white-blue light that illuminated the room. Tyler saw them. Hands. Dozens of gray, skeletal hands reaching out from beneath the bed, from cracks in the walls, from the seams of the floorboards, grasping, clawing, desperate. And in the center of the room stood Eleanor, unmoving, watching. The darkness returned. Jenna buried her face against Tyler. It wants us down there. The house groaned in agreement. A new sound emerged, a slow, heavy dragging across the ceiling, above them, following them. Marcus whispered, We need to break the door. Tyler nodded. Together, on three. They moved toward the door, stepping carefully to avoid the grasping hands that retreated and reappeared like tidewater. 1, Tyler said. The scratching intensified. 2, the walls pulsed. 3, they slammed their shoulders into the door. The impact sent a shock up Tyler's spine. The wood dented, not splintered, as if it had absorbed the blow. From behind them, Eleanor sighed. You're making it angry. The floor tilted. Not metaphorically, it shifted, slanting toward the bed, toward the reaching hands. Lila cried out as her foot slipped. Marcus caught her just before her fingers brushed the floorboards, where gray hands snapped at the air inches below. Tyler felt it then. A pull, subtle but steady. The house was trying to take them. Jenna forced herself to speak through her terror. Eleanor, please, we don't belong here. Silence followed. The scratching slowed. For a moment, the pressure in the room eased. Then Eleanor said softly, Neither did we. The floor lurched again. Marcus lost his footing. His knee slammed against the wood and his hand shot out to catch himself. His palm struck the floor. Gray fingers wrapped instantly around his wrist. He screamed. The grip was impossibly strong, skin like damp paper stretched over bone. More hands surged from the cracks, clawing at his sleeve, his fingers pulling him downward. Marcus! Lila screamed. Tyler lunged forward, grabbing Marcus's other arm. Jenna grabbed Tyler's jacket, anchoring him. The pull from below was relentless. Marcus's body slid inch by inch across the floor, his nails tearing against the wood as he fought. They're pulling me in, he cried. The floorboards beneath him softened, rippling like liquid. A face pressed upward from the wood, eyeless, mouth open in a silent scream. Then another, and another, their features stretching as if trapped beneath thin ice.
Lila dropped to her knees, wrapping her arms around Marcus's chest. "You're not taking him." The house groaned, resonant, displeased. The grips tightened. Marcus's arm bent in an unnatural angle. He howled in pain. Tyler's muscles burned as he pulled with everything he had. "Let him go!" Eleanor watched, her expression unreadable. "Dinner," she whispered. The faces beneath the floor opened their mouths wider. The pull intensified. Jenna's grip slipped. For one horrifying second, Marcus's body sunk to his waist into the floor, the wood swallowing him like mud. Lila screamed his name. Something changed. Tyler shouted, raw and furious, "He's not yours!" The words echoed, not in the room, in the walls, in the bones of the house. The pulling stopped, abruptly. The hands froze, the faces beneath the floor stilled. Marcus hung half-submerged, gasping. Eleanor's head tilted. The house groaned, confused. Jenna whispered. It listened. Tyler didn't wait. With a final surge, he and Lila dragged Marcus free. The floor hardened instantly, slamming shut beneath him with a sound like a coffin lid. Marcus lay on the boards, sobbing, clutching his bruised arm. The gray hands retreated. The scratching faded. Silence returned. Eleanor stepped closer, her bare feet soundless. "You fought," she said, her voice no longer layered, just a child's again. The lamp on the table flickered back to life on its own, casting weak yellow light across the room. The door behind them creaked open. The hallway beyond lay in darkness. An exit, or another trap. Eleanor looked at Marcus, then at the others. "It doesn't like when you take food away," she said softly. "Now it will be hungrier." Tyler helped Marcus to his feet. Lila clung to him, tears streaking her face. Jenna looked at the open doorway. "We go, now, before it changes its mind." Eleanor did not stop them, but as they crossed the threshold, she spoke one last time. "If you leave," she said, "it will follow." The door slammed shut behind them. The lamp inside the room went dark, and from deep within the house came a low, resonant growl, vast, echoing, and very, very awake.
The hallway that led nowhere. The door slammed behind them with a finality that echoed down the corridor like a judge's gavel. For a moment, none of them moved. Marcus leaned heavily against the wall, clutching his arm, his breath ragged. Lila pressed her forehead to his shoulder, whispering his name over and over, as if the sound alone could keep him anchored to the living. Tyler scanned the hallway with his dead phone in hand, instinctively trying to coax light from it. Nothing, only darkness stretching in both directions. Jenna spoke first. "We don't stop. We don't let it corner us again." Tyler nodded. "We find the stairs." But when they turned toward where the staircase should have been, they found only a wall. Not broken, not collapsed, seamless. The peeling wallpaper ran uninterrupted from floor to ceiling. Marcus stared. No, that's not possible. We just came up those stairs." Lila's voice trembled. It moved them. A long, slow creak rolled through the house, like a ship turning in deep water. The floor beneath their feet tilted slightly, then settled. The hallway stretched. Tyler blinked. The far end was farther away now. Jenna grabbed his arm. "Did you see that?" He nodded. "The house is changing." From somewhere below, a deep thud reverberated, followed by another. Like a heartbeat. Slow. Heavy. Alive. They chose a direction at random and began walking. Their footsteps sounded wrong, muffled, as if the floor absorbed the noise. The air grew colder with each step, their breath forming pale clouds that drifted and vanished too quickly. On the walls, new markings appeared. At first, Tyler thought they were stains. Then he realized they were words, scratched into the wallpaper, layered over each other. "Let us out. We are still here. Don't eat." Jenna pressed her mouth. "How many people?" Her voice broke. Marcus swallowed hard. "We're not joining them." A faint sound drifted from behind the walls. Not scratching, not whispering. Breathing. Slow and synchronized, as if dozens of lungs were drawing air through the same narrow space. Lila clutched Marcus tighter. It's inside the walls, all of them. The breathing grew louder as they walked, matching their pace, keeping up. They reached a corner that hadn't been there before. Tyler stopped. "We didn't pass this." Jenna shook her head. "No." The hallway turned sharply left into deeper darkness. A faint glow pulsed at the far end, dull red, like embers buried under ash. Marcus whispered, "We don't have a better option." They turned the corner. The air warmed abruptly, thick and humid. The smell of damp earth returned, stronger than before, but now laced with something sweet and rotten. The walls here were different. No wallpaper, only exposed wood, warped and split. And between the boards, something moved. A slow ripple, like muscles shifting beneath skin. Lila gagged. "The house, it's alive." The red glow ahead brightened with each step, revealing a door at the end of the hall. Unlike the others, this one was new. Fresh wood, unscarred.
A brass handle gleamed in the dim light. Tyler hesitated. Why would there be a new door in a house this old? Behind them, the breathing in the walls quickened. Jenna whispered, "Because it wants us to open it." The door trembled slightly, as if something on the other side had just leaned against it. Marcus looked at Tyler. "If we stay in the hall, we're trapped. If we open it—" "We might find a way out," Tyler finished. Lila shook her head violently. "Or we let it out." The red glow pulsed brighter. The handle turned slightly on its own. Click. The door opened a fraction. A wave of warm air spilled out, carrying a sound that made Tyler's stomach drop. Chewing. Wet. Rhythmic. Jenna staggered back. Oh, God. The door creaked wider. Inside was not a room. It was a space too large to exist within the house, a cavernous chamber stretching into darkness, its walls formed from the same warped wood, bending and pulsing like a ribcage. And in the center of the chamber, a table, long, endless, set with plates, dozens of them. Each plate held something indistinct, gray and glistening in the red light. Marcus whispered, horrified, "Those are people." The shapes twitched. A low moan rolled across the chamber. The chewing sound stopped. The breathing in the walls ceased. Silence fell, vast and expectant. Then, from the far end of the table, a chair scraped slowly backward. An invitation. The house exhaled, warm and foul. Jenna grabbed Tyler's sleeve. "Close it, now!" Tyler slammed the door. The latch caught. The red glow vanished. The hallway plunged back into darkness. Behind the door, something slammed against the wood. Once, twice, then many times, a frenzy of impacts that rattled the frame. Marcus backed away. It wanted us in there. The breathing in the walls resumed. Faster now. Hungry. Lila's voice broke. "It's not just haunted, it's feeding." Tyler pressed his forehead against the door for a moment, gathering himself. "Then we stop it." Jenna stared at him. "Stop a house?" He met her eyes, fear and determination warring within him. "We survived because we fought. We keep fighting." Behind them, the hallway stretched again, the corner they had turned vanishing into darkness. They were deeper inside now, farther from the road, farther from the world. And somewhere in the house, a child began to hum a lullaby, soft, off-key, and heartbreakingly lonely. Eleanor. The sound drifted through the walls like a memory. Marcus looked at the others. If she's still here, maybe she's the key. The house groaned, low and warning, as if it had heard. They began walking again, following the faint echo of the lullaby, and with each step, the house's heartbeat grew louder.
The nursery behind the walls. The lullaby drifted through the hallway like a thread, pulling them forward. Soft, broken, sung by a voice that had forgotten how to be a child. Tyler led the way, one hand trailing along the warped wooden wall as if he could feel the house breathing beneath his fingertips. Jenna stayed close at his side, her shoulder pressed against his arm. Behind them, Marcus moved carefully, favoring his injured arm, while Lila supported him, her grip tight with quiet determination. The melody grew clearer as they walked, a tune meant to soothe, a tune twisted by loneliness. "Rock-a-bye, baby," Eleanor's voice hummed, the words barely formed, the rhythm uneven. The hallway narrowed, the walls weaned inward, forcing them closer together. The air thickened, warm and damp, carrying the faint scent of old milk and rot. Lila gagged. "What is that smell?" Jenna swallowed hard. A nursery. They turned a corner, one that hadn't existed seconds before, and stopped. The wall ahead of them bulged outward, the wood stretched thin like skin pulled over bone. Faint light seeped through the cracks between the boards, flickering in time with the lullaby. Marcus stared. "That's not a door." The bulge pulsed. Once. Twice. Then a thin seam split down the center with a wet, tearing sound. The wall opened, not swinging, parting, like lips. Warm air spilled out thick and sour. Tyler hesitated only a second before stepping through. The nursery was frozen in decay. Moonlight filtered through a cracked window, illuminating a room coated in dust and age. A wooden crib stood in the center, its paint peeled away in curling strips. A rocking chair sat nearby, gently swaying, though no one touched it. The lullaby stopped. The silence felt heavier than the song. "Eleanor?" Jenna whispered. The rocking chair creaked. Forward, back, forward, back. Lila clutched Marcus's hand. "We're not alone." On the far wall, faded wallpaper depicted smiling animals, lambs, rabbits, birds. Their once bright colors leached into sickly gray. Some of their faces had been scratched away, leaving only hollow shapes. Tyler approached the crib slowly. Inside lay a bundle of yellowed blankets. Too small, too still. The air grew colder with each step he took. "Don't," Jenna whispered, but he had to know. Tyler reached the crib and pulled back the blankets. They fell apart in his hands, dissolving into dust. Beneath them was nothing. No bones, no remains. Only deep gouges in the wood, as if something had clawed its way out from inside. A soft voice spoke behind them. "I was hungry." They turned. Eleanor stood in the doorway, her white dress hung limp, darker now at the hem as though soaked with something long dried. Her glassy eye reflected the moonlight, the other remained hidden behind strands of dark hair. Lila's voice shook. "What happened to you?" Eleanor tilted her head, considering the question as if it were new. "They forgot to feed me," she said. "Then they forgot to leave." The rocking chair began to move faster. Creak, creak, creak. Marcus frowned. "That doesn't make sense." Eleanor's gaze drifted to the walls. "The house heard me crying," she whispered. "It fed me." A deep, wet sound came from inside the walls, like something swallowing. Jenna's stomach twisted. "What did you feed you?" Eleanor's eye lifted to meet hers. "Everything." The nursery walls shuddered. The animal shapes on the wallpaper began to stretch, their hollow faces elongating as if trying to scream. The crib rattled violently. From under the floorboards came a muffled chorus of voices, not words, but pleas, layered and desperate. Marcus backed towards Tyler. "We need to go, now." Eleanor stepped into the room. The doorway behind her sealed shut, the wooden seam knitting itself closed. "You can't leave hungry," she said softly. "It hurts when you're hungry." Lila shook her head, tears spilling. "We're not staying. We're not part of this." The rocking chair stopped abruptly. Silence fell. Then slowly it turned on its own to face them. The seat cushion sagged inward as if someone invisible had just sat down. The chair began to rock again. Forward, back, back. A second lullaby joined Eleanor's, lower, cracked, and adult. Then another, and another. Dozens of voices humming in broken harmony. The walls bulged, tiny handprints pressed outward from beneath the wallpaper, overlapping, reaching towards the couples. Jenna grabbed Tyler's arm. "She's not the only child." Eleanor's expression did not change. "They were hungry too," she said. The crib split down the middle with a sharp crack. Long gray fingers pushed through the broken slats, clawing at the air. Marcus shouted, "Move!" The floor warped beneath their feet, softening like wet soil. Tyler grabbed Jenna's hand. Marcus pulled Lila close. Together they forced their way towards where the doorway had been. The wall resisted, pulsing, breathing. Jenna slammed her palm against it. "Let us out!" For a moment, nothing happened. Then Tyler shouted, "We are not yours!" The words echoed through the nursery. The humming faltered. The handprints froze. The wall split open again with a sharp tearing sound. Cold air rushed in from the hallway. "Go!" Marcus yelled. They stumbled through the opening just as the nursery erupted behind them, the sound of splintering wood, children crying, and something vast shifting in anger. The wall sealed shut with a final wet crack. The lullabies stopped. The hallway stretched before them once more, darker than ever. Lila collapsed against Marcus, sobbing. "There were so many." Marcus kissed her hair, his voice shaking. "We're getting out, all of us." Tyler met Jenna's eyes. Fear still lived there, but so did resolve. "We know what it is now," she said. "It feeds on the forgotten." A low growl rolled through the house, the sound of something ancient turning in its sleep. From deep below came a thunderous heartbeat, slower now, heavier, waiting. Eleanor's voice drifted faintly through the walls, no longer welcoming. "If you leave, it will starve." The house shuddered violently, and somewhere ahead a door slammed open. They did not know whether it was an exit or a mouth.
The heart beneath the floor. The door that had slammed open waited at the end of the corridor like a dark promise. Cold air poured through it, real cold, not the damp, breathless chill of the house. It smelled faintly of snow and pine, a reminder of the world beyond the walls. Hope. Dangerous, fragile hope. Tyler tightened his grip on Jenna's hand. That could be outside. Marcus, pale but steady, nodded. Or it wants us to think that. Lila wiped her tears with the back of her sleeve. "We can't stay here. If we keep moving, we have a chance." Behind them, the hallway groaned. The walls pulsed once, a slow contraction, as if the house had just exhaled in irritation. "Move," Jenna whispered. They ran. The doorway led not outside, but into a narrow stairwell spiraling downward. The air grew warmer with each step, thicker, alive. Tyler's jaw tightened. "We're going deeper." Marcus grimaced. "Every horror movie rule says don't go into the basement." Lila's voice was barely audible. "We're already inside its stomach. Might as well find the heart." The stairwell seemed endless, the wooden steps worn into shallow dips as if countless feet had passed this way, or been dragged. A faint red glow pulsed below. With it came a sound. Thud, thud, thud. The heartbeat they'd heard before, louder now, resonating through the soles of their feet. Jenna pressed her hand to her chest. "It's syncing with my pulse." Tyler felt it too, a strange pressure in his ears, like descending too fast in an airplane. The rhythm was wrong, too slow to be human, too steady to be mechanical. Alive. They reached the bottom.
The basement was impossibly vast. The ceiling arched high overhead, supported by thick wooden beams that curved like ribs. The walls were not straight, but bowed inward, layered with warped planks that flexed subtly, like lungs drawing breath. At the center of the space lay a massive shape. At first, Tyler thought it was a mound of earth. Then it moved, a slow, contracting motion. The red glow came from within it, veins of dull light pulsing beneath a translucent, membrane-like surface stretched over tangled wood and bone. Lila gasped. That's the house. Marcus stared, horrified. That's its heart. The structure thudded again. The floor trembled with each pulse. Embedded in the surface were shapes, faces pressed outward beneath the membrane, their mouths open in silent screams. Hands protruded halfway through, fingers twitching weakly, as though trapped between worlds. Jenna covered her mouth. They're still alive. A voice answered from the darkness. No. Eleanor stepped into the red glow, her pale dress now streaked with dark stains, her glassy eye reflecting the pulsing light. They are being eaten, she said simply. The heartbeat quickened. Thud, thud, thud. Tyler stepped in front of Jenna instinctively. Why show us this? Eleanor tilted her head. You took food away. It hurts when it's hungry. The membrane shuddered violently, as if in agreement. A low, resonant groan filled the chamber. Not a sound, but a vibration that rattled their bones. Marcus clenched his fists. We're not feeding it. The red glow brightened. The faces beneath the membrane twisted. The floor softened beneath their feet. Lila grabbed Marcus. It's trying to pull us in again. Eleanor's expression flickered. Not quite anger, not quite sorrow. If it starves, it will eat everything. The walls contracted. The stairwell behind them narrowed, the steps bending inward. Jenna whispered, It won't let us leave unless we give it something. Tyler shook his head. No, there has to be another way. He looked at the heart, at the membrane stretched too thin, at the trapped shapes beneath. It's not just feeding, he said slowly. It's growing. The heartbeat faltered for a moment. Eleanor watched him carefully. Marcus followed Tyler's gaze. If it grows, it spreads. The red veins pulsed brighter, crawling along the basement walls like roots seeking soil. Lila's voice broke. It won't stop with this house. The truth settled over them like falling ash. This was not a haunted house. This was a hunger, a living thing that had learned to survive by consuming the forgotten, and it was ready to expand. The membrane bulged outward, a face pressed through, a man's features stretched thin, eyes opening just long enough to meet Tyler's. His lips moved. One word. Run. The membrane sealed over him. The heartbeat surged. Faster now. Thud-thud. Thud-thud. Eleanor clutched her head, her voice splitting into layered echoes. It's waking. It's waking. It's waking. The stairwell shrank further, wood bending like ribs closing around lungs. Marcus looked at Tyler. We destroy it. Jenna's eyes widened. How do you destroy a house that's alive? Tyler stared at the heart, at the membrane stretched too thin, at the trapped shapes beneath. Yes, every living thing has a weak point. The membrane thinned at the center, stretched tight with each beat. The red glow flared. The house groaned, a sound of warning, of fear. Eleanor's gaze snapped at Tyler. If you heard it, she whispered, it will hurt you. Tyler met her eyes. It already is. The floor lurched violently. The walls convulsed. From above, a thunderous crash echoed, as if the upper floors were shifting, collapsing, reshaping. The house was preparing to defend itself, or to feed. Jenna squeezed Tyler's hand. Whatever we do it together. Marcus nodded. Together. Lila, trembling but resolute, tightened her grip on Marcus. Together. Eleanor stood in the red glow, caught between them and the pulsing heart, a child bound to a hunger she never chose. The heartbeat thundered, the house closed in, and for the first time since they arrived, the couples realized escaping might not be enough. To survive, they might have to kill the house.
When the house fought back. The heartbeat thundered through the basement, no longer slow and heavy, but frantic, a predator sensing danger. Thud-thud, thud-thud, thud-thud. The membrane stretched tighter over the pulsing mass, red light flaring beneath its surface like a warning beacon. The faces trapped inside writhed, their features distorting as the house awakened fully to the threat before it. Tyler took a step forward. The floor softened instantly, sagging beneath his weight like wet clay. Jenna grabbed his arm. It knows what you're thinking. The walls convulsed in agreement, wood bending inward with a deep, splintering groan. Marcus scanned the chamber, desperate. There has to be something, fire, tools, anything. Lila pointed with a shaking hand. There. Half buried near one of the rib-like beams lay a rusted fireplace poker, its iron tip blackened with age. It looked impossibly small against the vast pulsing mass, but it was something. Marcus rushed to it. The floor rippled, trying to swallow his feet. He staggered but kept moving, snatching the poker free with his good hand. The heartbeat surged. The membrane bulged outward. A dozen faces pressed through at once, mouths opening in silent screams. Eleanor clutched her head, her voice splitting into overlapping echoes. It's afraid, it's afraid, it's afraid. Tyler met Marcus's eyes. The center, when it thins. Marcus nodded, jaw clenched. Jenna stepped in front of Tyler. You're not doing this alone. Lila moved beside Marcus. None of us are. The couples stood shoulder to shoulder, fear binding them tighter than any force the house could muster. The membrane stretched, thinned, glowed hot white at its center. Now, Tyler shouted. Marcus drove the poker forward. The iron tip pierced the membrane. For a single suspended moment, the house went silent. Then it screamed. The sound was not heard, it was felt. A vibration that slammed into their chests, stole the air from their lungs, and sent them crashing to their knees. The membrane split around the poker, leaking thick black fluid that hissed against the floor like acid. The red glow flared violently, then dimmed, then flared again in erratic pulses. The faces beneath the surface convulsed, their mouths opening in jagged, soundless wails. The house fought back. The floor liquefied beneath Marcus's knees, dragging him downward. Hands burst from the surface, clawing at his legs, his waist, trying to pull him into the heart he had wounded. Lila screamed and grabbed him, bracing her feet against the shifting floor. I've got you! The walls split open. From within them poured shapes, half-formed figures made of gray flesh and splintered wood, their limbs bending unnaturally as they crawled toward the living. Consumed souls, fragments of the devoured. Jenna backed towards Tyler as one of the figures lunged, its hollow face stretching toward her. Tyler swung a broken plank from the floor, smashing it aside. The creature collapsed into a heap of splinters and dust, only to begin reforming seconds later. It's using them! Everything it ate! It's using them! The heartbeat became chaotic. Thud, 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 thud. The poker trembled in Marcus's grip as the membrane tried to force it out. Tyler lunged forward, grabbing the iron rod and shoving it deeper. Black fluid sprayed, sizzling where it struck the floor. The house convulsed. Above them, the ceiling cracked. Dust and debris rained down as the upper floors shifted violently, beams snapping like bones. Eleanor stood frozen near the heart, her small frame trembling. You're hurting it, she whispered, but her voice no longer held certainty. One of the gray figures crawled towards Eleanor, its skeletal fingers reaching. Eleanor, Jenna shouted. Move! The girl didn't. She stared at the wounded heart, her glassy eye reflecting the chaos. It fed me, but it never loved me. The figure lunged. Lila broke free from Marcus long enough to grab Eleanor and pull her back. The creature collapsed where she had stood, dissolving into a smear of black residue. The house roared, a deep collapsing sound. The membrane split further, the red glow flickering wildly. Again, Tyler shouted. Marcus and Tyler forced the poker deeper, tearing the membrane open. A blinding burst of red light erupted from within. The heartbeat stuttered. Stopped. For one fragile second, silence fell. Then the house inhaled. Every wall contracted at once. The stairwell sealed. The floor surged upward like a wave. The gray figures rose in unison, dozens of them, their hollow faces turned toward the living. The house was not dying. It was defending itself. Jenna grabbed Tyler's face, forcing him to look at her. If we stop now, it wins. He nodded, breath ragged. Marcus tightened his grip on the poker despite the hands clawing at his legs. Lila braced herself against him, refusing to let go. Eleanor stepped forward, her small hand hovering over the torn membrane. The red light flickered across her face. If it dies, they go with it. The trapped faces beneath the surface twitched, waiting, hoping. Tyler met her gaze. If it lives, it keeps eating. The house shuddered. The gray figures advanced. The heartbeat sputtered, trying to restart. Eleanor closed her eye and pressed her hand into the wound. The house screamed again, louder, deeper, a sound of betrayal and rage. Light burst from the tear, swallowing the basement in a flood of red and white. The gray figures froze mid-step. The walls cracked, the ceiling split, and the heartbeat began to fail. The house was dying, but dying things are the most dangerous of all.
The last breath of the house. The light consumed everything. Red, white, blinding. Tyler couldn't tell if his eyes were open or closed. The world had become a burning void, roaring with a sound that was not sound but pressure, grief and fury collapsing into itself. The house was screaming its last breath. Eleanor stood at the center of the rupture, her small hand buried deep within the torn membrane. The red glow poured through her fingers, illuminating her thin frame like a lantern made of bone and memory. The heartbeat staggered. Thud. Silence. Thud. Each beat weaker than the last. The gray figures froze where they stood, their splintered limbs locked mid-reach. The hollow faces beneath the membrane softened, their twisted expressions easing into something almost human. Hope. Jenna clung to Tyler, her voice breaking. Is it over? The house answered with a violent convulsion. The floor buckled. The ceiling split wide open. Beams snapped like ribs under crushing weight, crashing down in showers of splinters and choking dust. "No!" Marcus shouted. "It's collapsing!" The red light flickered wildly, surging through the basement like a dying pulse. Cracks spiderwebbed across the walls, each fracture oozing black fluid that hissed and evaporated before it touched the ground. Eleanor's voice trembled, layered with echoes that were no longer angry, only tired. It doesn't want to be alone. The membrane split further, peeling back like burned skin. The faces trapped within slipped free, dissolving into drifting strands of pale light that rose toward the shattered ceiling. One by one. Dozens. Hundreds. A silent exodus. Lila watched, tears streaming down her face. They're free. A beam crashed behind them, sealing off part of the basement in a cloud of dust and debris. Tyler grabbed Jenna's hand. "We have to go, now." Marcus pulled Eleanor back from the dying heart, just as the membrane collapsed inward, imploding with a wet, thunderous sound. The red glow dimmed to a dull ember. The heartbeat stopped. For one long, fragile second, everything was still. Then, the house began to die. The floor heaved violently, throwing them off balance. The rib-like beams lining the basement walls snapped and curled inward, as if the structure were folding in on itself. "Stairs!" Jenna shouted. The stairwell had reappeared, but it was collapsing, steps cracking and sliding downward like loose teeth. They ran. Tyler and Jenna first, Marcus close behind, half carrying Eleanor as Lila steadied him. The air filled with dust and the sharp scent of rot burning away. Behind them, the basement imploded with a roar, the sound chasing them up the stairs like a living thing. Halfway up, the steps split. Tyler leapt the gap, dragging Jenna with him. Marcus stumbled, his injured arm buckling as he nearly fell into the darkness below. Lila caught him with a desperate cry. "I've got you! Don't you dare let go!" Eleanor reached out, her small hand closing around Marcus's sleeve. For a moment, the house seemed to hesitate. The walls shuddered, the staircase steadied. Just long enough. They climbed. The ground floor was unrecognizable. Walls had split open to reveal the night beyond. Snow and cold air rushed through the jagged openings, swirling with dust and ash. The front door hung crooked on one hinge, slamming weakly against the frame with each violent tremor. Freedom. So close. The house roared behind them, not in rage, but in something like grief, a final plea. The floorboards warped and split as they ran, black fluid seeping through the cracks like blood from a mortal wound. Jenna stumbled. Tyler caught her. Marcus and Lila burst through the parlor, dragging Eleanor between them. The scratched-out photographs fell from the walls, their frames shattering on the floor. For a fleeting moment, the faces within were visible, whole, unmarked, finally at rest. Eleanor stopped. They nearly dragged her off their feet. She looked back at the collapsing house, her expression no longer hollow. "It's quiet," she whispered. The house gave one final shuddering groan. The ceiling above the staircase caved in with a deafening crash. "Go!" Tyler shouted. They ran through the broken doorway and into the freezing night. Outside, the world felt impossibly vast. Cold air burned Tyler's lungs. Snow crunched beneath their feet as they stumbled away from the house, not stopping until they reached the rusted skeleton of their broken-down car at the edge of the property. Behind them, the house sagged inward. Windows shattered outward in bursts of dust and splinters. The roof collapsed, and with a final hollow roar, the structure folded into itself, the walls sinking as if swallowed by the earth beneath it. Silence followed. No wind, no voices, no heartbeat. Only the faint hiss of settling debris. Marcus fell to his knees in the snow, pulling Lila into his arms. She clung to him, sobbing openly now, not in terror, but in release. Jenna wrapped her arms around Tyler, pressing her face into his chest. His heart pounded wildly beneath her cheek. Alive, human, real. "We made it," she whispered. He kissed her hair, his voice rough. Together. Eleanor stood a few steps away, barefoot in the snow. The cold did not touch her. The moonlight passed through her thin form, her edges softening like mist. Lila noticed first. "Eleanor?" The girl looked at them, truly looked for the first time. "Thank you," she said. Behind her, faint shapes of light rose from the ruins, drifting upward like fireflies. They circled her once, a silent farewell, before vanishing into the night sky. "You're not alone anymore," Jenna whispered. Eleanor smiled, a small, real smile. Then she was gone. The snow fell undisturbed where she had stood. Dawn found them huddled beside the car, wrapped in blankets scavenged from the trunk. The road, once hidden by darkness and fear, now stretched clear and ordinary beneath the pale morning light. No sign of the house remained, only a shallow depression in the earth, as though something vast had been lifted away. Marcus flexed his injured arm, wincing but alive. Lila squeezed his hand, refusing to let go. Tyler started the car. This time, the engine turned. Jenna let out a shaky laugh. "Of course it works now."
He glanced at her, then at the others in the rearview mirror. "We don't leave anyone behind," he said. They drove. The road carried them away from the clearing, from the hunger, from the night that had nearly swallowed them whole. Behind them, the sun rose. Warm, ordinary, alive. And though none of them said it aloud, they all felt the same quiet truth settle in their bones. Some houses are haunted, some are hungry, but love, stubborn, defiant, unyielding, can starve even the darkest things. The end.